Actually, I went to Russia in 1993 first. And so I worked there first on the foundation of our church, also International Educational Foundation. We worked with many schools and character education programs. So that's the foundation of UPF. At that time, UPF did not exist yet as an organization, but we made such a foundation there, okay? So in China, I was there from 1998 to 2006. And I worked also with International Educational Foundation because UPF could not be established as an organization. And therefore, we had a lot of work, a lot of teaching, a lot of educational programs centering on family values and so on. That was the base, that was the work we did there, okay, centering on essentially family values, and we were very well received because the Chinese people felt close to those values, and they felt our teaching was actually very close to their culture, and that's why we got received very well. But we could not work, some aspects of UPF could not be developed there because China was not completely open. After I left China in 2006, I went back to Russia, and I was Secretary General for UPF for Eurasia. And at that time, we worked with many scholars and also with some religious leaders, although Orthodox Church was not simple to work with because they're a bit closed. But there was always quite an openness working there. But since recently, our founder pointed to Russia and China as a place where there is really a problem with religious freedom. And so in 2022, just before the war in Ukraine began, our founder really insisted that we should really work to both embrace Russia and China, but educate also Russia and China towards religious freedom. And I think this is really our challenge now, how to do that. Yes, our work in the Balkan is important because when our founders did the UPF inaugural tour in Europe, they stopped in two countries in the Balkan, in Albania and in Bosnia. When they came to Albania, they were welcomed by the president at that time, Alfred Moisiu. And I think he received our founders very well. And at the same time, I think our founders felt he was very open and they had a very good exchange. And since that time, President Moisiu has been very much supportive of our work, even after he finished his mandate as president. And also our work, our members have done a lot of work in basically reaching out to ambassadors for peace. So the foundation in Albania developed strongly because we have many peace ambassadors there, several thousand, maybe more than 5,000, I believe. And also they have established peace councils in all the major cities of Albania. There are 61 municipalities in Albania, and in each municipality they established a peace council centering on peace ambassadors. Also, Albania has a strong foundation of religious tolerance. Although you have some Albanians are they are mostly Muslims, but many Albanians have also some background with Christianity, with Orthodox Church and so on. But for them, it's not very important. This difference of religion is not so important. What is most important is Albanian solidarity. So our work there is developing strongly. That's why we could invite our founder, Dr. Hal-Jahan Moon, in 2019 and held a summit there. That was quite a successful summit with the Southeast region. Mostly Balkan leaders came. After that, she asked us to set up a peace embassy in the Balkan. Within 2 years, we built up the peace embassy. So, all these gave a lot of trust to the leadership of Balkan nations that our organization, through UPF, takes the Balkan very seriously, Kosovo is mostly populated by Albanian people. And that is why, through our foundation in Albania, we could develop also a strong foundation in Kosovo. And in 2019, we started working with the Podgorica Club of former heads of state of the Balkan region, which was started by the former president of Montenegro. Montenegro is a neighboring country to Kosovo and to Albania. And President Vujanovic, who has been 15 years president of the country, established connection with UPF. And so we've been working with them and made some kind of a memorandum of cooperation agreement with the Podgorica Club. So every year we have some high-level conferences with the former heads of state of the region. So we've done that already several times in Albania. Last year we were also in North Macedonia. And this year we are planning a conference in Kosovo with the former President Sediu, who is a peace ambassador. Recently, a few days ago, I went to Kosovo and met with the Prime Minister there, Prime Minister Kurti, who is very supportive of our activities. He attended our summit last year in Korea, and he agreed to co-host the next conference in Kosovo in October this year. And we will have a conference on the theme of peace and stability in the Balkan region and the demographic transition in the Balkans. So we are preparing for that conference now. Yeah. France has a tradition of distrust with new religious movements. France is a very centralized nation historically, religiously, politically, and so new religious movement always creates some, there's some difficulty. France has developed the anti-cult law in the end of the 1990s. The issue of cults and new religious movements is something that also came from the West, from America. So in America too, we had a strong anti-cult movement, many years ago in the 1980s and so on. And they were basically accused, these new religious movements, to spread brainwashing. People were brainwashed and young people were taken away from their family and so on. But gradually, in the 1980s and 90s, all this idea of brainwashing was basically discredited by scholars. People came to understand this is not true. There's no brainwashing. Just people learn different ideas and some of them join this movement and not. The problem now is that even though the brainwashing ideas was discredited 30, 40 years ago, now this idea is coming back again. Just like we can see a rise again of Marxist ideas, communist ideas, rising in society again. We can see again a rise of anti-cult feelings. In France recently, they passed a law to even strengthen the so-called anti-cult law that was voted already in the 1990s or 2000, okay? And that anti-cult law is about mental manipulation, basically accusing people, if you manipulate people, if you brainwash them, then you can go to jail or something. And now, unfortunately, last year and earlier this year, a law came to be discussed in Parliament to try to strengthen anti-cult law by making the crime of mental manipulation much more easy to attack new religious movement. And this is why it's not a good development. And actually many people in the Parliament, especially the Senate, when the law is discussed first in the National Assembly and then it goes to the Senate. When the law went to the Senate in France, the Senate rejected this law because they said this is not right to control people's mind like this. You cannot just, such a law will basically hurt religious freedom. But according to the French law, after the Senate, the law goes back to the National Assembly, and still the National Assembly voted it. And that's why the law has passed, I do not think right now we have to fear that as an organization, but the potential is there. Even the Japanese anti-cult movement is trying to work together with the French anti-cult organization and try to bring that law into Japan. So this is really serious, and this is not positive. This is something which we should fight against. And many scholars of religion know this is wrong, and so we try to create an alliance to fight against this kind of idea and this rise of, I would say, new anti-cultism, which is rising in society. We have to fight it. We have to fight it. You know, in our unification movement, Japan has always had a very special position and responsibility. The mission of Japan has been a life-giving mission for all our movement worldwide. I know that myself because I was a missionary for many years. I worked as a missionary, I worked in America, but I worked also in Africa, I worked in Russia, I worked in China. Wherever I worked, the missionaries from Japan always played a very important role because the Japanese movement was very developed. So both Japan was supporting economically, physically, financially, also spiritually through education, these two areas. I saw this myself in Russia, I saw this in Africa. So we have great respect for Japan. And that is why when we see what's happening today against our movement in Japan, such a strong persecution, we feel so outraged and we hope to win it. We want to support the Japanese movement, and we hope that our Japanese peace ambassadors, our Japanese members always keep that sense of mission for the sake of the world, because without Japan our movement would not exist. I just want to say, don't give up. Even if the government manages to stop or to dissolve, we have to find another way to, for Japan to fulfill that mission. So that mission is very important to convey our founders' vision for one world. That's why I came here, and that's why also we want to support from the United Nations in different ways. But at the same time, please do not stop. And I hope the second generation particularly take responsibility and fight, because if the second generation of Japan can stand up to this persecution, then they will give confidence to the rest of second generation, our members in the world. This is very important. I think we should not fear. Of course we can fear, this is a serious problem what's happening, but I tell you, Japan should keep fighting, and we want to keep fighting with Japan as much as we can. As we heard even yesterday, Mike Pompeo, many people actually feel this is wrong and we should fight against this kind of persecution, this witch hunt against our movement, and we will do our best. So that's my wish for peace ambassadors and also for members in Japan. Please keep the good fight.